Good afternoon. For those of you who don't know, my name is Maya Karen. I run a fashion blog called Classically Kept. It does feature luxury, contemporary, and how to style, and now natural hair care. So if you are into any of those things, please consider subscribing to my channel and then click the notification bell. That way you will never miss a video. So today's episode of Hair Talk, we are on episode 10. Today we are going to talk about, or the question is, were you supported when you made your decision to go natural? So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so if you are new here, welcome. If you have been following along with this Hair Talk series or mini series, I appreciate you and welcome back. Like I have always said before in the comments, I appreciate you guys because we don't necessarily have to agree, but we always keep it respectful. The other thing, I kind of keep it very casual, and like I always say, at whatever time you are watching this video, put the kids to bed, get your tea, get your wine. I have my medicine ball right there that I got this morning, and just kind of get into the video, okay? I will link the entire series in the description box. That way, if you have nothing to do, or that way, if you want to catch up on the series, you will be able to do so from episode number 1, okay? So whenever I get into these hair talks, I try to come at them from all different standpoints. Agree, on the fence, and disagree. I'm going to break this video down into a couple of portions. I'm going to briefly talk about my hair story, my natural hair story, and how it goes into this video. I will talk about my experiences I will talk about my experiences when it came to me telling my friends and family that I was going natural. I will bring in some other people's experiences. I know some of them, I don't know some of them. Also, I will talk about where I think we are with the whole going natural thing. And then finally, I will give some tips about how to have the conversation surrounding the fact that you want to go natural with a loved one or with a family member, and just kind of how you should go about it, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so really quickly, I just want to give a brief snippet of my natural hair story and how it kind of ties into what we're talking about. So when I was young, my mother always wanted to make sure of 2 things. Number 1, that I loved the skin that I was in, that I loved my complexion, and that number 2, I loved my hair just the way it was. As I was growing up, my mother was doing my hair in its natural state, but she was also making sure that I knew how to care for my hair. My mother is not the one who actually relaxed my hair. It was another member of my family. If you want to know the entire story, I will also link my entire natural story down below. I'm saying that to say that because December 22nd of 2010, I myself, as a semi-adult, decided to go natural. I was sitting at my desk at Norfolk State. My hair was getting shorter, it was getting thinner, and it was falling out. So I made the decision to go natural. So now we can kind of segue into my experiences as far as announcing to the world or announcing to my friends and family that I was going to go natural. So with my mother in 2010 had already been natural for some years because she was actually in remission. My mother had breast cancer. She's been in remission for a very long time now. But at this point in time, she was in remission, and she was actually wearing her hair in a very short, naturally curly state. So I called her, and if you don't know, my mother is my rock. She's like my best friend. We talk about everything under the sun. So I call her about this idea, or I call her and let her know, hey, I want to go natural. What do you think? She was like, well, I'm natural now. She was like, I'm natural. I know that I'm in remission, but I love my hair. I throw some water on it and I'm good to go. And she was like, well, I know you won't be wearing your hair short, but I'm all for it. And really, from my perspective, my mother has always supported my decision. She may not as an adult. Of course, if I was younger, if I wanted to make a decision, she would be the end all be all. But as an adult, my mother has always supported me in every decision that I have made. She may not agree with them, or she may not agree with the way I'm going to go about it, but she has always supported me. So me calling my mother wasn't necessarily asking for her permission because I was a young adult. I wasn't asking for her permission. It was more so kind of like a pep talk and just kind of to let her know what I was doing. And of course, she was going to support me. That's my mother. Now, my father, hello, Daddy. I know that you're watching. My father, I was a little bit nervous to tell, but at the same time, I wasn't really calling for permission. I was a young adult. Really, for my father, more so, it was kind of a heads up. Because what I didn't want to happen is I didn't want to have my big chop or have my semi-big chop and then I just show up at his house one day with different hair and he not be aware. So the call to my father wasn't necessarily for permission. It was more so a heads up. And I think from my father's standpoint, I think that when I told him that I was going natural, I think that he thought that I was just going to kind of roll out of bed, kind of do this, and then just leave the house. And that's so much further from the truth. I can tell you that being natural for 12 years now, there's nothing lazy about being a natural, okay? My friends, because I was in college, it's 2010. To be quite honest with you, when I was telling my friends, as a matter of fact, I remember I was sitting at cheerleading practice or cheerleading camp, and I told them, and they were actually quite confused. They were like, well, to be honest, we didn't really think you had one to begin with. So I just find that very interesting that no one really thought that I had a relaxer to begin with. And then I will just tell you one more experience. It was my boyfriend at the time. So I would say by the time that I had met my boyfriend, I was in transition. Again, if you want the entire story of my natural hair journey, I will link it down below. But by the time I had met my boyfriend in college, I was transitioning. I did not big chop. I was transitioning, so I would typically keep my hair pulled back, or I would actually wet my hair and braid it. So that way my relaxed hair, my natural hair, and then the demarcation point would have been easier to handle. So I would say that I was in transition when I actually met my boyfriend. And I remember while I was in transition, I actually had to get a weave and straighten my hair for a homecoming show, or because I was in the fashion show. It was a requirement. The director wanted everybody to have straight hair. My hair wasn't long enough and it wasn't straight, so I actually had to get my hair straightened. After the fashion show, my boyfriend was like, well, first of all, I didn't recognize you. Second of all, when you washing your hair. Third of all, I don't like it. Okay. So for me, all of my friends were, none the wiser. They had no clue that I had a relaxer. My mother was supportive. My boyfriend was supportive because he actually wanted me to wash my hair to go back to my curly state. And then my father, I think it was just more of like an anxious feeling, or he wasn't really sure what it was going to look like, or he wasn't really sure how I was going to go about it. For me, it was pretty much an all-around positive experience. No one shunned me. No one laughed at me. No one asked me why. No one stopped talking to me. No one cussed me out. It was a pretty positive experience, but I think that came from, especially from my friends, I think that came from the standpoint that they really didn't know. My mother knew, of course, but she's my mother. She's always going to support me. My boyfriend, he liked natural. So when I got my hair straightened and he didn't recognize me, he didn't like that. Like I said, my father, I think it was more so, well, what are you going to look like? Are you going to look crazy? Are you going to look homeless? Are you, I think it was more, I think he just really wanted to know how it was going to look and if I was going to look crazy. Okay, other people's experiences. I have 4. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I tried to make it a full circle. I tried to do supportive, non-supportive, kind of on the fence. So the very first one is that I have a cousin. She did have breast cancer. If she is watching, I love you and I know that you are doing fine and I know that you are now in remission. She DM'd me, or I think it was a text message, or she DM'd me. And she was DMing me to let me know that once her husband actually went to his retirement ceremony, I believe for the Navy, that she would be going natural. So she's in remission and she's going to start, growing her hair. And I said, well, I think that's absolutely wonderful. I said, I love you. I love your husband. I said, however, what does, I'm not going to say his name, but I said, well, what does your husband think about it? And she said that he is 100% all for it. And I think for her husband, it was more so with what they had been through with her breast cancer. I think for him, it was more so, at this point, your hair is so trivial. I'm just glad to still have you here with me on this earth. So I think the support was kind of twofold. I think it was because of what they had been through. At this point, he could really care less about her hair. He's just glad that she's here. And I think the second part of it was, I really don't think he cared. Maybe they had been having conversations prior to, maybe she had mentioned something about it before, but I was so happy for her because she was in remission and because her husband, number one, wholeheartedly supported her fully, okay? When we get to the bottom, or when we get to, the tips and tricks, or when we get to some of the tips that I will give for conversations, I understand that going natural can be a bit of a traumatic or a jarring experience for your loved one or for your partner, okay? So I understand that. The second experience I want to talk about or discuss is, it was a girlfriend of mine, and her significant other / husband was the complete opposite. So I have a girlfriend who had been toying with the idea of going natural. Now, she did big chop. I believe, she went to a salon. She'd been growing her hair out maybe for like a couple of months, and she decided to big chop, and she did have a TWA. And from what I understand, she comes home and he is just pissed off. He is mad. She didn't tell me the full story, but she gets home and he's just not happy. Why'd you cut your hair? Why'd you do this? You look ridiculous. You look ugly. When are you going to grow your hair back out? You need to get a wig. You need to fix this. All the things that you can possibly say. And it actually had gotten to the point where she grew her hair out a little bit more and she relaxed it. I cannot tell you what was going through one of my girlfriend's heads, but the fact that she made this decision and then she comes home, and not only was she not supported, but she was berated to the point where she felt like she needed to get a relaxer again, and she did. I know that she had some regrets afterwards, but I can't tell you the mental gymnastics that she was probably doing, because the person that was supposed to love, care, and protect her did not in this instant, okay? Now, I'm going to give you 2 more examples. And like I said, I tried to come full circle. So these are articles, and I will link these down below because I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. So the first article is on curlynikki.com. And this one was basically that she's married 5+ years. She has 1 child and another baby on the way. And she had been natural for coming up on a year. She gets in the car with her husband and he says, we need to split up. So of course, for her, this is coming out of nowhere, because she's thinking that they're happy. She's thinking that they're thriving. They're doing the whole marriage thing and they have a baby on the way. She gets in the car and he tells her, we need to split up. And she's like, well, why? What are you talking about? Come to find out, the hairstyles that she has been doing, he's saying, well, you've been doing all these nappy hairstyles. When are you going to change your hairstyles? When are you going to do more straight hairstyles? And can you do them more often? And for me personally, I had issues with the whole, her husband calling her hair, nappy hairstyles. That's a different subject for a different video. But it just for this one, it was more so the lines of communication. He gets in the car and he's like, well, we need to split up. You completely ignored or didn't take into consideration my feelings when you went natural. And clearly you like your hair. I don't. So we need to split up. And for her, it was, again, communication. She didn't fully understand, or she didn't fully communicate with her husband, why she wanted to go natural. She didn't fully communicate, with her husband, the hairstyles that she would be doing, and, whether or not they were going to be nappy hairstyles or whether or not they were going to be straight hairstyles. At the end of the article, she was like, well, why didn't you say that? And then she says, the conclusion is that we didn't communicate well in this situation, and I'm looking for more hairstyles or more straight hairstyles to do. I have several issues with this article. I have no idea if these 2 people are still married, but I have several issues with this article, but I'm just giving you what happened as far as her natural hair, okay? The next one is from Bernetta, Family Fitness, Finance, and Faith Style. And this article is titled, "When Your Husband Doesn't Like Your Natural Hair, But You Rock It Anyway." Okay, so I'm just going to read it. I will put a screenshot up here on the screen, and I'm just going to read it. So she says, "I'm not sure what it was about this day, but I couldn't take it anymore. I went to work on my lunch break. I went to a local shop and cut it all off. I came back from work and people were asking me, 'Are you okay?' I laugh at it now. It wasn't their response I was worried about, but my husband's. I tried to position my phone when I walked into the door to catch his reaction, but my hands were shaking too much. I tapped him on his shoulder, and when he turned around, it was like the world stopped. I saw disappointment, disgust, and frustration in his eyes. He shook his head and he said, 'Babe, you cut your hair,' in a soft, defeated voice. When I first walked in the house, I felt courageous and strong. After seeing his reaction, I felt confused and questioned, did I do the right thing? Unless the children needed something, he didn't really speak to me for the rest of the evening. In an attempt to make him feel better, I actually got braids a few days later." Now, again, like I said in the beginning of this video, I completely understand how it can be a traumatic or a jarring experience for your significant other, for a friend, for a loved one, for you to make this drastic decision or for you to make this drastic change. And with him being in his emotion, I don't think he realized the energy or the attitude or the reaction that he was giving off to his wife that he's been married to, that again, he's supposed to love, protect, and care for. So much so that he didn't really say anything to her for the rest of the night unless the children needed something, which then she has this knee-jerk reaction to then go out the very next day and get braids to make him feel better, okay? So fast forward, she's getting ready to cut her hair off again. She says, "I remember sitting at the wash bowl with my eyes closed and I felt someone kiss me. I opened my eyes and it was my husband with the biggest grin. He ran his hands through his hair and said, 'Wow.' I smiled back and said, 'Yeah, I know.' With that small interaction, he let me know he supports me and it's okay. When I left the shop, the funny thing is neither one of us really liked the hair. It wasn't the fact that it was short, it was the actual cut itself. It wasn't like the pictures at all. Weeks passed and my hair started to grow back. Although it was still short, I was able to do my curl funk styles with it. My husband asked me to put it back and wear my hair. I paused and said, really? My husband said, yes, you cut your hair to wear it, so wear your hair, it's fine. So in that situation, they were getting ready to go somewhere and she was getting ready to put on a wig and he says, no, that's fine. So push comes to shove, a couple of months later, he's actually quite fine with her natural hair, with the styles that she's doing, and he now fully supports his wife. He thinks she's beautiful, and so on. So this article or this experience drastically differs from the one that I just shared with you. But again, the raw emotions are there from the husband and from the wife. So I just kind of wanted to give you a couple of experiences as the reactions that people get when they have told a friend or a loved one that they are going natural. In the comments, let me know. Pause the video in the comments. Let me know if you are natural, if you are choosing to go natural. What have been some of the comments? What have been some of the reactions from your loved ones, from your friends, or from your circle, or from your community? Okay? So now, where we are with the whole going natural and just the whole natural community within itself. I have said this before in my videos, but I don't think we realize how much stock we take or how much we internalize someone's comments, someone's reactions when they are someone who is a friend, who is a family member, or someone that we hold in high regard, someone's opinion that we value, someone that we look up to, or someone that we might run to for advice, or someone who we might consider a confidant. I don't think we realize how much someone's comment can actually deter us from making the decision to go natural, or make us second guess the decision for us to go natural. And just really being on both sides. I can't imagine, like I said before, the mental gymnastics that someone goes through. Because I acknowledge, again, this is my third time saying this in this video, making a drastic decision to go natural, especially if you are going to go about it the most drastic way, which is growing your hair out for a couple of months and then just chopping it off and you're sporting a TWA. I can only imagine on both sides the mental gymnastics that it takes, or that you're going to go through with this drastic change. So I understand the other person's reaction, but at the same time, once that person removes their emotions out of it, I think that person should be able to sit down and say, hey, this is someone that I love. This is someone that I hold in high regard as well. Let me check in with them and see how they're doing with them actually cutting off their hair. Let me be a voice of support, a voice of reason, or a voice of encouragement. I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own emotions when someone tells us something, because that person really could have been struggling to tell you, or they could have been mustering up the courage to tell you their decision. Even though they hold you in high regard, they know that in our community, as far as, African Americans and Black people go, they know that even though in our community we do have people that support us, choosing to go natural, especially the TWA way, can be just a very sensitive topic, a very sensitive subject, and a very drastic move. But I think once that person actually takes their emotions out of it and they sit with it and they internalize it, they should be able to come back to that person and say, okay, I'm ready to have this conversation. Let's talk about your decision to go natural. As far as, where we are, I think we have come a very long way. And y'all have heard me say this in many videos before. If you get on BET, if you get on Showtime, if you get on Black Stars, you will see Black women being casted who wear their hair in so many different ways. Dreads, afros, sister locks, mini twists, straight, relaxed, wigs, U-parts. And it's showing all of the beautiful ways that Black women wear their hair. As you've heard me say, representation matters. But you're always going to have people who are going to be the naysayers. You are never going to have, even though we are a community, you are never going to have everyone jump on the bandwagon. And we have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with possibly someone not speaking to you or cutting you off because you have chosen to go natural and they don't believe in natural hair, or they don't think natural hair is beautiful. You have to be okay with that, especially when you're talking about maybe baby boomers, or sometimes your older millennials. They had to go through a period of straight hair is beautiful. Straight hair is going to allow me to have a livelihood. Straight hair is going to allow me to provide for my family. Straight hair is going to allow me to pay my bills. They're stuck in their ways, and it's just not going to change. They came from a very different time period and era that you did. And you have to be okay with maybe an elder in your family not supporting and accepting your decision. Okay, so the last section, or the last portion of this video, is kind of going to be steps of how to go about this situation, or how to have this conversation. So let me say this again, and it'll be the last time that I say this in this video. I completely understand how a significant other, I'm not going to assume, Have a significant other that you've been with for a very long time, or maybe someone you have not been with for a very long time, but y'all are committed to one another. I can completely understand how on Monday you maybe have weave down to your back, or you maybe have braids, or you maybe be relaxed, or you may have, your hair out and you might have some extensions. And then on Tuesday, you come to this person and say, hey, I've made the decision that I'm going to go natural. I've been growing my hair out, and tomorrow I'm going to go to the hair salon and they're just going to chop off a majority of my hair, and I'm going to be sporting a short afro with my natural curls. I'm going natural. I can fully understand how that situation or how that decision can be traumatic, tumultuous, and jarring for your significant other, for your partner. I can completely understand that, because here we are on Monday. This is how this person has seen you for the entirety of your relationship. And then within 24 hours, you come to them and say, hey, I'm getting ready to chop off all my hair, and I need you to be okay with it. I need you to accept it. I need you to not care. I'm just telling you, but I need you to be okay with it. I can completely understand how that's going to raise some eyebrows. I can completely understand how that's going to raise some concerns, okay? So with that being said, let's talk about how you can go through this situation. So the very first thing is, as the person who is going natural, even before the conversation, I need you to acknowledge the fact that your appearance matters to your significant other. We're going to deal with reality, okay? The reality of the situation is that more than likely, one of you approached the other person, correct? And you approached that person, or since you're the person that's going natural, let's just say that your significant other approached you. They approached you because they liked the way that you looked, okay? They didn't approach you because you had a good personality. They don't know you. They've never spoken to you. They didn't approach you because you have a good aura. They approached you because of the way that you look. They were attracted to you. You guys started dating, and now you're in a relationship. What that looks like to you, whether you're in a monogamous relationship, whether you're in a committed relationship, or whether you guys are married. They like the way that you look, and they are expecting for you to look a certain way, or they're expecting you to have a certain appearance while you're in this relationship. You might gain a little bit of weight, you might fill out a little bit, you might change your hair color, you might change your hairstyle, but it won't be as drastic as chopping all of it off, okay? So as the person going natural, I need you to acknowledge that your appearance matters to your significant other, okay? After you acknowledge that, I need you to acknowledge that their reaction that they're giving you, you might have felt the same way prior to you wanting to go natural, prior to you doing your research, because once you decide you're going to go natural, the first thing you're going to do is going to hop on YouTube and start looking up products and start looking at, natural hair gurus and how to do this, how to do that, how to do this, how to do that. But I need you to acknowledge that prior to your, light bulb or your epiphany, I need you to acknowledge that you might have felt the exact same way about natural hair. And I'm saying that so that when you're having the conversation with this person, that you can at least be empathetic towards how they are feeling, okay? The next thing I need you to do is to explain to them why you want to go natural. Is your hair falling out? Is your hair thinning? Is it getting shorter? Do you no longer have any edges? Also kind of explain to them the actual damage that the relaxer is doing to your hair. Also explain to them you might have a scalp condition or how your scalp is reacting to the relaxer. I want you to kind of paint a picture for them as to why you want to go natural. Somebody might even go as far as, pulling up that YouTube video and showing and talking about all of the dangers that come with having a relaxer. Somebody else might go as far as to actually, part their hair and, show their significant other their scalp and say, this is what I've been dealing with for the past 6 months. It's excruciating, it hurts, and I'm not really sure what to do with it at this point, but to just stop getting relaxers altogether and go on this natural hair journey, okay? So start the conversation out with both of those acknowledgments. Tell them, listen, I've been doing my research and I want to go natural. Kind of look at their face and kind of gauge that, depending on whether or not that person is very expressive with their face, you might be able to tell, right there how they're feeling. But break it down to them as to why you want to go natural, okay? Next, because like I just said, some people are not very expressive when it comes to their face. I am not one of those people. If you want to know how I feel, you can look right on my face and you'll be able to tell, okay? After you have explained why, I want you to listen to the person that you're having the conversation with, again, whether it be a significant other, whether it be a friend, or whether it be a family member, or whether it be someone that you hold in high regard. I want you to listen to their side. They may have concerns, they may have questions, and within that portion of the conversation, you'll be able to address that, okay? So I want you to listen to their side. It needs to be two-way communication. They need to listen to you, you need to listen to them. As the person who is going natural, you need to be prepared for their reaction, for their comments. You need to be prepared with the fact that they may support you. You need to be prepared with the fact that they may be on the fence and, they may say, okay, well, you know what? Let's table this and let's come back. You also need to be prepared for the fact that it's just going to be a flat out no. They're not going to support it and they don't want you to do that, okay? You need to be prepared for all, and those are more than likely going to be the three main reactions. You need to be prepared for their reaction. And the reason why I'm saying that is because your significant other, your family members, what makes them tick. But this is a bit of a different situation, okay? So be prepared for their response after you have given your reasons and after they have given their side, okay? Next, which is going to fall solely on the person who is going natural, you need to make a decision. After you have had the conversation, after you have kept the lines of communication open, after you have answered the questions that the person has, you need to make a decision whether you're going to continue to go natural, whether you're going to go on the journey, or whether you might table the decision and come back later. But I will say this, whatever decision you make sure the decision that you are making is not going to alter or it's not going to compromise the health of your hair. You compromise the health of your hair for no one, okay? So make your decision. If you need a day or so to make your decision after having that conversation, fine. If you need to make your decision after this particular person and you have had the conversation again, or maybe something new has come up, or maybe that person has done their own research and they may come back with more questions, you need to make a decision, but do not compromise the health of your hair for anyone, okay? Lastly, which I know is going to be, very upsetting for some people, but it's going to be a very blunt statement. And it is, you may have to leave, okay? You may have to leave the situation. The other part to that is that if you do make your decision and you do make your decision to go natural, that person might leave you. Okay, so the location has changed. I'm now in my closet. The boys actually came home, and while we were downstairs, Aiden was trying on his new clothes for school, and then it got dark because the sun set. So it's a little bit better lighting in here in my closet. But what was I saying? Yes. So the last portion of this, what I'm going to say is you need to be prepared to you need to be prepared that this person may leave you, or you need to be prepared that you may need to leave. You know, if this person is going to, once you've made your decision, if this person that you are with is gung-ho about you not going natural and you have chosen to go natural, there are going to be some consequences to your decision, and you also need to realize that there are going to be consequences and repercussions for your decision. You just need to decide whether or not they are worth you losing that person, because I can understand, as far as a significant other, as far as a husband, or as far as a life partner, I understand that, you know, it's going to be a little bit harder to leave them. However, if they're going to be constantly degrading you, disrespecting you, and, you know, belittling you because you've made a decision to go natural, or if they're going to, you know, kind of just keep bringing up the past. So let's say, for instance, you know, y'all are sitting down and y'all are having a conversation, and he starts bringing up, you know, old photos, or starts bringing up old hairstyles and things like that. It's going to be a constant reminder, or it's going to be a daily struggle for you to go through your natural hair journey when you have this person who is so close to you who doesn't agree with your decision. Not only are they not supporting you, but they're making comments. And I know someone might not want to hear this, but they may also not be attracted to you anymore, which would actually bring up a completely different set of issues, and would also maybe lead someone to believe that there were other issues maybe stemming in the relationship, and maybe the fact that you've chosen to go natural is just what, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back. But I'm saying it because that's the reality. I want to make sure that I'm keeping this hair series very real, and just very grounded. That may be a situation that you may have to leave, whether that person has chosen to leave you because they just don't find you attractive, they don't think it's going to work out. As you heard me state earlier in one of the other person's experiences, the woman gets in the car and her husband tells her that they need to split up, and she was like, well, why? We need to have a conversation about this. So you need to be prepared for that, whether that person unfortunately is going to choose to leave you, or if you need to, you know, make your way out of that situation. Okay, so in the comments, just like I said before, kind of let me know if you have chosen to go natural, if you are getting ready to go natural. What types of comments, questions, and concerns have you gotten? And if you have already gone natural, and when you were choosing to go natural, what types of reactions and comments did you get from your friends, family, and loved ones? Okay, I just want to remind you that here on YouTube, I do upload videos every Wednesday and Sunday, and then of course, like right here, I'll put my Instagram handle. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, you guys. Bye.